Hey, so we're all human beings. We've all agreed on that. We all have in common with every life form on the planet what we could call Vedanas, V-E-D-A-N-A. So even if you have the most simple form of life, like an amoeba, if you put it on a petri dish and you have one end of the petri dish is something sweet and the other is like acid, and the other two sides of the petri dish have got nothing on them, this amoeba will head to the sweet, the food, will avoid the acid, and will ignore the other two sides of the round petri dish. Yeah? So this is survival. This is like Darwin. This is evolution, the key word. The key word is evolution. So the essence of Tibetan Buddhism is evolution. The essence of Tibetan therapy is evolution. Evolving, evolution. Not getting stuck in vicious circles, but evolving. So we all, like the amoeba, is avoiding the acid, going for the sugar. I call it the amoeba shuffle. You know, it's like a dance, you know. This is the life that you go for food, you try to avoid anything unpleasant, and then you ignore the rest because it's not juicy, because everything is about getting what you like and not getting what you don't like. So like an informal understanding of all of Buddhism is, in a way, people suffer when they get what they don't want. They suffer because they try to cling on when they do get what they want, and then they're really unhappy about losing it. So what do we do in response? We are kind. Kindness. You see, it's like completely, it's not trying to fix it, there's nothing broken. We're all humans, just like the amoeba. As humans, what we're trying to do, if we just go with the programming, is just avoid unpleasant, chase after what is pleasant and ignore the rest. But if you put that recipe into the 21st century, no wonder there is so much depression and mental illness around. Yeah? Because, like something like a smartphone, you could spend 10 hours on this. And it's always a search engine, it's never a find engine, so that you're always looking. So it's keeping you like in a dopamine loop, that you're always dissatisfied. Because if you were satisfied and at peace, you wouldn't consume anything. And the whole job of a consumer society is to keep people dissatisfied so that they keep on consuming. But the problem is, all of the human suffering arises out of our egocentric wish to create a perfect environment. How about that? I bet you've not heard that before. Have you heard that before? Maybe. So, the brain, because we're not amoebas, we've all got brains. Amoebas don't have much brains, but you know, I'm sure there's so much real estate of intelligence in this room. I can see it in your eyes and in your third eyes and everything. What is happening is, with a brain, you're thinking, oh, well, I've got to avoid pain. If I'm cleverer enough, then I can live a life without pain. So we try so desperately hard to live a perfect life without pain. Or is it just me, you know? So we're trying, and the more we try, the more we're doomed to failure, because everything changes, everything's impermanent. We get what we don't want, and we get stuck with trying to keep what we do like going forever. We're so attached. We're so attached. We're so attached to whatever we're doing. And then, because of our failure to make life perfect, we can think there's something wrong. And then we can even think there's something wrong with me. So your inner critic, you could start saying, you muppet, you've got 2 degrees in psychology and still you're miserable. I'll get you for this, And your inner critic is saying, well, you just got to be more cleverer. But you don't. The whole thing is, if we can just stop struggling, the truth will be revealed. Say meditating half an hour a day, we can give up suffering in that half an hour, and we could even see the Vedanas arise, like a thought, like a Vedana is like a feeling, a feeling tone is the literal translation. So you could feel a little edgy feeling tone, and without meditation, that could take you into half an hour of misery. But with meditation, you could just watch and the feeling tone, this feels unpleasant. It's okay to be unpleasant. It's okay to feel unpleasantness. You can't think your way out of a harmful emotion. The brain is very clever, but you have to feel your way through emotions. The brain is cleverer, like how to get from here to Perth in a car. So the brain is good at that. Oh, well, I'll turn left at this roundabout and I'll turn right at this fork and I'll get to where I want to go. Sorted, very simple. But emotions aren't like that. It's like driving on the left-hand side of the road in France. Don't try this at home, If we are, emotions need to be felt and experienced. And it's all about evolution. Are we going to be just prisoners of the past and always chase after the perfection that can never be? Or are we going to accept our human imperfection and embrace ourselves as we are? So this day is really about cultivating unconditional love and self-acceptance. Unconditional love for ourselves, and unconditional self-acceptance. So that we stop judging ourselves like we're doing the best that we can. We're doing the best that we can. And that's all. That's the whole point, really, to accept. Insofar as we accept human imperfection, then we can be okay with our lives. Like nothing is perfect and everything is fine. Yeah, nothing is perfect. This feels pretty perfect actually right now. And the story of this is really that our inner self-critic is like the tone of voice is very damaging. We need to encourage ourselves, be kind to ourselves. Remember, in a world where we can't get what we want all the time, and when we get a lot of what we don't want, the answer is simple: be kind. Like His Holiness the Dalai Lama once was asked, "What is your religion?" And he said, "My religion is kindness." So kindness in our language is related to the word kin, which is like tribe or family. But in the Sanskrit or Pali, it's mitra, which means warmth or friendliness, like metta, M-E-T-T-A, is like, it means this sense of warm-heartedness, embracing everybody beyond kin, beyond family. I mean, we can't do it overnight, but that's the aspiration, that everybody, including ourselves, is bathed in the warmth of unconditional kindness. In our language, kindness, metta or maitri in Eastern languages. But I love this idea of friendliness, unconditional friendliness, so that if you make a mistake, you don't start shouting at yourself and hurting yourself. You know, like 90% of our body is water. And so it's almost like we're cucumbers with attitude. So what you get, but our body, the water remembers emotions. So how we talk to ourselves, you know, the one person that we're living with for our whole life is me, isn't it? No, it's not me, but you know, you as me, or everybody. That's the one person they spend the most time with. Maybe it's a good thing to be kind in that environment, rather than be self-critical or your own worst enemy, or like a cucumber going rotten, because all of those harsh words that are internal can affect your health. One way they measure mindfulness is that your immune system is very strong. So it's all about, it's really so simple, it's all about cultivating kindness and a sense of warm-heartedness, and especially to all aspects of yourself. So, and I'll say a little bit more, and then we'll meditate for a little while. So being human, and since we're all humans here, being human is like living within 5 streams, or that's my version. There's a Kashmiri poem, maybe that's easier. Being human is like living in a house with 4 rooms: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. But the problem is, most people tend to spend most of their time in just 1 or 2 rooms. You see what I mean? So we're all trying to create a perfect environment. If I'm on this for 12 hours, Googling dolphins, swimming with dolphins in Australia, I'm living in the mental room of my house, aren't I? But my body is doing nothing. It's atrophying. But this is perfect because there's no physical danger. I mean, even a shark, you know, I won't do the Jaws soundtrack, but even, you know, you're watching from the comfort of Perth or Murphshire. Perth. So you're sitting at home in Murphshire, and you're not in any physical danger at all. So your brain thinks, oh, this is wonderful. This is like nirvana. But your body, like sitting for long periods of time without moving, is more hazardous to your health than smoking. Because of our evolution, we're meant to be movers, to walk around, you know, to move. So even this could be a simple take-home advice, couldn't it? Being human is like living in a house with 4 rooms. So at the end of the day or at the end of the week, what did I do physically today? You know, did I at least take the dog for a walk? Did I at least restore the balance in my life? The word meditation actually comes from a Sanskrit word, medere, which means to restore balance. So was I unbalanced today? Was I living too much in my head, which I think is the biggest problem in the West? like just criticizing yourself for 10 hours, that could be very dark and totally unnecessary if you can see that there is no self to be angry with, ultimately. But we'll come into that later. So living in that house with 4 rooms is the Ruma Gooden poem from Kashmiri heritage. But I've changed it to being human is like living in a house with 5 streams. Physical, yeah, everybody's got whose hands up if you haven't got a body here? You know, I'm listening. If you were teenagers, you'd all be putting your hands up. So, physical, emotional. Anybody have an emotion lately? Or 2? Anyone? So then, physical, emotional, mental. Who's had a thought? Who's had a thought? You know. So we think. But then the 4th being physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. So we've all got a genetic predisposition, I would think, for the mystical, for the spiritual. Like we love nature. I think most people here love nature. Yeah? During lockdown, it was a great source of comfort just to be outdoors. So connecting with this is the spiritual room in the house for the day, to connect to something beyond physical, beyond emotional, beyond mental, like the mystery of being. And the 5th stream that I add is, I think, the most important one in a way, the social stream, because that's what got out of balance during COVID, that people couldn't intermingle like they normally would. So from a diagnosis, from like my 5 streams idea of what life is, everybody's out of balance because they're not doing. I think about 70 or 100,000 years ago, there was a quadrupling of real estate in the prefrontal cortex, so that we have much more ability to manage emotions and develop language, agriculture, civilization. But also there was a massive increase in social skills, so that you could read the emotion of another person, like mirror neurons, they're called, so that you can look at somebody and intuit what they're feeling. So all of that kind of software, if you like to call it that, is being unused if you're in a room watching a TV. Or if you're on Zoom, suddenly everybody's just a head and a few shoulders. There's nothing else. So your brain is really trying to compensate, So being human is like living within 5 streams. If any becomes out of balance, you start to get unwell. So your job, in a way, is simple. It's just to review with kindness, not being judgmental or critical, how balanced was my day today, you know, in terms of physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and social. So this is like a wonderful opportunity to maybe the real teaching will be at lunchtime when people are sort of talking and just maybe interested in what I'm trying to convey here. But for the time being, I'll leave it there, I think, yeah? And invite a question or 2, and then we'll just have a 5-minute stretch break, just to walk around a little bit. Okay?